Hi friends, today we're going to go over America and World War I together. So we want to review the main causes of World War I, and this is something that's really important to know. The main causes are going to be militarism, which is building up your army, gathering weapons, and increasing the amount of soldiers that you have. Alliances is making friendships and forming pacts with other nations in order to have each other's backs in case of a struggle. And imperialism is when you have stronger nations taking over some weaker nations or owning other territories outside of your main border. And the more territories that you have spread out, the more power you control around the world. And nationalism is, yeah, everybody thinks their nation is the best, but it's an extreme form of patriotism where you feel like your nation deserves more than others, and it can really lead to some tension between a lot of countries. So why did it take so long for America, the United States, to get involved in the war? Well, you have to remember, at the beginning of the war, America was isolationist. We didn't want anything to do with the war. We had that kind of attitude like, why should we get involved with someone else's problems? We don't want them involved in our problems. Why would we want to get involved in theirs? But when you really think about it, if we're really about democracy, isn't it important that we get involved and make sure that we make others safe for democracy as well? That's what a lot of people felt. And so at some point we had to get involved. It's kind of our role as the United States. So then we have this dilemma, like which side should we be on? Well, there's multiple possibilities here. If we're looking at the Central Powers, we're thinking about all of the German Americans that we now have in the United States. We're looking at all the immigrants who came over at the turn of the century. And we have plenty of people from Germany who have now integrated themselves in the United States. They are part of the labor force. They hold really strong positions in political power. And the same thing for Irish Americans. You know, they came at the turn of the century to help build the railroads, and they've solidified themselves as really important, especially in politics and in places of power such as the police and firefighters. So we're kind of on their side. At the same time, we want to look at the Allied side because we have close cultural ties. Remember that the United States used to be part of Great Britain, even though we fought, you know, that little thing called the American Revolution, but we still have a lot of culture that we share with them. We have the transatlantic cable that has been established so that we could send messages back and forth, and we have, lent out a lot of money. They've borrowed a lot of money from the United States. So we kind of don't want to lose that money. If you look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll notice that it says U.S. exports to both sides. Take a look at those numbers there. What do you see? Now, at this point, it's really important for us to really think like historians. Remember when I've said that as historians, we don't think about whose side we're on. We just evaluate history and we analyze history for what it is, okay? So I don't want you to take on what you've heard about Germany or take on what you know about World War II, because technically we're not there yet and it hasn't happened yet, okay? So at this point, should we tell the story of World War I with Germany as the bad guy? Really think about this for a moment and then explain it to your turn and talk partner. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all for World War I. So at this point, we're moving on to the fruitful years, right? How the United States is going to build itself up again as a superpower in the world in the 20s, how maybe that might change in the 30s, and then of course, we'll move into World War II. What do you think? Do you think that the way World War I ended might have some kind of role to play with the way World War II began? Make a prediction. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to find out. See you then.